Change is live on Facebook and YouTube. Watch Barry and Chuck discuss the issues of the day and see which one smiles the most. This is the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
Tech companies are big in the news today. Some of the big names are down, but coming back pretty nicely right now. Joining us with Stock Talk is Eric Reimer from Seeking Alpha. Eric, thanks for joining us.
Great to be on.
Yeah, Eric, you're talking about Twitter. And, of course, that's a controversial name. They had a much tougher road, I'd say, than Facebook. But you think it may be finding its niche?
I definitely think so. I mean, certainly Twitter since IPO has had a rough few years. However, this past year we've definitely seen a major turnaround. The stock has more than doubled this past year. And even though it has had a great run, I think it still has much more to go. They've really found their niche and are really, I think, cleaning up their platform, making it more advertiser-friendly, and I have still a lot of optimism for it to continue its run.
Yeah, you mentioned about the advertising, but we've heard that the challenge that they face is really trying to effectively monetize these users. Are they getting more revenue per user, and how are they doing it?
I mean, I think it's a twofold problem. I think, firstly, it's like ad placement and which channels and activities on the platform can be monetized. And so I think that their earnings metrics have shown they are increasing that bit by bit, as shown by the fact that they have had 2 profitable quarters so far for the first time in history back to back. And secondly, I think it's about making sure that user activity is actual user activity. We see that with their recent bots and accounts cleanup and purge. And so they're trying to, I think, make sure that those metrics are accurate as well. And so, I mean, I think what has held them back has been all these various problems with a platform as complex and big as Twitter is now. But I mean, I think they are slowly making real progress towards it. And I think in upcoming years, we'll see advertisers perhaps slowly begin to invest more in the platform. And so that's my take on it.
Now, Eric, when the stock was cheaper, there was a lot of talk that they could be an acquisition candidate by some of the big tech companies. Is that still a possibility, you think?
I mean, I think a lot of tech companies certainly would be interested in acquiring Twitter. I mean, they were in the middle of acquisition talks back several years ago with major tech names. Those fell through precisely because of their bots and various other user activity problems, which they've now cleaned up. I'm not so sure Twitter would want to be acquired. I mean, I think a lot of people do see Twitter as still having extremely high potential. And, I mean, I simply I think that they have a much greater potential as their own company than as an acquisition target. But I'm sure many would definitely want to acquire it at its current stage.
Switch gears. Microsoft certainly has proven doubters wrong. You like the risk reward, at least from my reading. It sounds like you like the risk reward at this price.
Oh, definitely. I think there is relatively low downside risk for Microsoft. They have many stable revenue lines in their Office products, as well as very diversified revenue as well. So, they have now LinkedIn just producing more and more revenue and earnings. They have their gaming segment. They have their various other software and hardware segments. And so I think it's a very diversified base. However, they also have a very high potential, high profit cloud computing segment, just continuing to grow rapidly. We see their recent acquisition of GitHub and other factors, and I think that has the potential to create a lot more growth for Microsoft even at its current point.
Yeah, interesting. In the news, reading about the cloud and the deal that they did with Walmart, which, the kind of mutual common enemy in Amazon teaming up against. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, certainly the cloud space is really competitive. Amazon and Google are very innovative companies. But it's also a sector that's growing so rapidly that there's a lot of business to be had for anyone who has a market share in the place. And I think Microsoft hopefully will continue to gain some of that, I think.
So Microsoft and Twitter, both buys, do you think, at these prices? I
think so. I mean, I think Twitter has a lot of potential over the next few years. I mean, it's been an erratic stock over the past few years, but I think it's now finally found its grounding. Microsoft, I think, is a much more stable buy. I mean, it's very low downside, like I mentioned, but also even at its current almost $800 billion level now, I think it still does have some above average, above market growth due to cloud computing.
2 thumbs up. Eric Reimer from Seeking Alpha. Thank you very much for that report on Twitter and Microsoft.
Great to be on. Thanks.
I'll tell you, my impression of Twitter is I'm not sure they would have survived without the president.
It has been, the answer to their prayers.
That is his soapbox.
He's
and every tweet he makes is reviewed. Now I know they've figured out how to make a few bucks on it and monetize it, but if you don't have the viewers, and you can't watch the evening news without reading about his latest tweet.
He's made it his primary form of communication, and without him,
not Facebook either, right?
Correct. Yeah, because he can do the tweets. And he's taken his message directly to the public. And it's been the best thing that could ever happen to Twitter because other than that, it's kind of a raunchy place a lot of the times. And a lot of people don't like going there, and it's not the nicest place in the world. But it's been